The What It Takes Radio Company. We connect you with your audience, bring your message to life, and perhaps give you a touch of immortality. And now, the final edition, the epilogue, How to Be a World-Class Podcaster, because the world needs to hear your story. And today, the time has come. The time is now. It's time to stop learning and start to do a podcast. Now we will help you do just that. Well, we are back for the final episode of this presentation, this class, this course, hopefully a coaching experience that will teach you how to start being a world-class podcaster. And I am proud of you. You've stuck with it so far. That's good. Because remember, this is about you. I want you to become very, very good at this wonderful new opportunity and ability to share your stories, your wisdom, your insight, your truth, the good things that you can bring to others around the world. Now, this is going to be very important for you going forward. I oftentimes say to businesses today, and I will say this to you, from now on, every person and every business must have a broadcast system in their place. That's right. Do you have a place where the CEO or even the sales manager or anybody can produce a podcast, produce a video, produce something for the modern media? Right now, you don't have to go anywhere else. You have it built right into your place, just as this is in my place. A studio, a broadcast studio, a podcast studio, a way to use the modern media. Everybody's going to have to learn how to do this in some way. It may not be their full-time job or even part-time, but from time to time you're going to have to meet the media because that's how you will meet the marketplace in the world today. And you've decided to get pretty good at that. And I'm proud of you. That's why you are the message, and you have to know the people you're talking to. That's why you have to know ADA, vital. You have to know who those people are and the formula for reaching them. You have to understand how to be and sound like a pro. You're going to have to know how to use these devices to record your program, and then you're going to have to know how to platform it. And all of that is because right now, no matter what your job is, you are a performer. You have to be a performance marketer, a performance salesperson, a performer in everything you do. Now, I'm going to try and help you get started. This is our final time together, so, it's a special time, so I even wore my gold tie. So it'll be the final time in the presentation, but we're going to have a whole series of ongoing little episodes to help you become just that, a world-class podcaster. And you can watch those, and we'll have things that will help you, and you can pay for them. You know why? Because everybody, including you, should get paid for good work. And that's what we'll do. Now, here we go. We're going to start right now. Here's how to start. First of all, see if you can find 2 or 3 friends who might want to do it with you, maybe even online. 2 or 3 people who want to work with you. And in fact, they should also go back and watch this program. Now make a commitment to do 7 programs. 1, 3, 7. Get the first one done, then go for 3, and then be brave enough and bold enough to keep going for 7. Now, the first 1 and the first 3 are the most important because that's what you will learn how to do 4, 5, 6, and 7 better. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to do a program. Don't worry about platforming it now, but hey, share it with 3 friends. Just share it with them. Say, what do you think? And hopefully they'll be helpful and brave and hopefully kind. Find 3 friends. Then you may also discover that the 7 programs will do this magic thing for you. most people who take a class in podcasting and who start a podcast never even get to 7. That's right. They never make it. They drop out, they quit. And I want you to do 7. And when you get to 7, your results will still not be what you want, but that means you're real. And now you'll spend the next year, year and a half, getting good at what you do. Because it'll take you a while before you'll begin to find out about how to do it well, and how to keep going, and how to make it worthwhile. Even though your audience will be slow at first, please keep in mind, whether it's 3, 5, 7, 10, 25, that means you have the opportunity with every podcast to share your message with at least a few people around the world. And most people never get to share their message or their stories or their wisdom with anybody anywhere. So you're way ahead of the curve, just as a beginner. And you'll begin to discover things about yourself and about your audience and about how this works, because experience is always the best teacher. As I said, I had over 2 years of extensive training from the best in the USA and the best of the BBC, but then I had to go out and for years, do it every day. And that's how I learned to be from an extrovert, an total shy introvert, to somebody who could at least perform like an extrovert, because I'm still an introvert, in such a way to be good at radio, maybe sometimes even great at radio, and be able to teach it to other people, to actually perform video classes and courses around the world. And so now I have a worldwide audience. Thank you. I'm very grateful for you for being a part of that now. Now here's how I want you to get started, because that will get you some of the energy and some of the people, but now I know what you're going to ask. Stan, what am I going to talk about? Well, first of all, go back to lesson 1 and find out what you care about. Start there. But there are all kinds of ways to come up with, and they just come up from you, ideas for programs. Something magic is going to happen to you, because as soon as you start being on a podcast, first of all, this is fun. When anyone says, "What do you do?" Whatever you do, just simply say, I'm starting a new podcast for my business. I'm starting a new podcast to build my career. When people say, "Stan, what do you do?" I say, "I help world-class people become world-class broadcasters and podcasters." Then I shut up. Don't say anything more. Now they start asking questions. And by the way, they're kind of amazed and amused by that. Oh my goodness. I already have become a little bit peculiar and maybe a little bit special. So that allows you to talk to people. And when they say, I say, "Well, you know what? Maybe you could be a guest sometime. What would you talk about? What are some of the things you like to hear on the radio?" See, all of a sudden, when you say that, you're talking to people about what they would like to hear. See how that starts to work? You're starting to build relationships by just saying, "I'm going to be doing a podcast." "Oh, what's it about?" "Well, we're thinking of making about." "Oh, what do you think we should talk about? What would you like to listen to? What do you hear?" See, you're going around, and that's why I'm doing this. Your eyes are always talking to people and finding out what they want, what they like, what's important to them. Please keep in mind, you got to find out what they want, not just what you want. And that's the important thing. Now, there are all kinds of ways, and it goes back to what I call my little notebook story. Well, here we go. I used to have to carry a notebook, because here's a story I heard. It was that supposedly a well-known disc jockey and it's maybe a story, but it's a true story, I believe, was well known for being his radio program all around the world. And he was training people how to do this, and young broadcasters, and supposedly he said this, he would go into the room sometime and say, notebooks. And if any of the people could not produce a notebook, he told them they were suspended, and if it was the second time, they were fired. Reason. He said, guess what? I want you all the time to be thinking. I hear a joke. I read a bumper sticker. I see a sign. I hear something. I read something. And I'm always, oh, I could use that in my program. And what will happen is everything you see and everything you do, you'll begin to say, I wonder if I could use that in my program. And so you'd have to write it down. Of course, I don't even have to do that anymore because I have a smartphone. Do you have one? Very simple. Guess what? I see something, I speak into it. I write it down. I take a picture of it. I do an audio message, and then I send that stuff to me, and I'm always running into things where that would be an idea, and I speak it or write it or note it, whatever it might be. I can even talk to somebody. I might say, hey, you know what? Let's do a little interview right now. And you can actually use your smartphone, if you know how to do it, to conduct. Now, it will not be full broadcast quality, but you would be surprised just how good you and another person talking into a good smartphone. You can then, of course, send that audio, that video to yourself, and then do editing. You've got that right there. There are hundreds of YouTube videos. There are hundreds of articles. I subscribe to all the articles that are about podcasting. So I'm listening to that all the time. And they all have great ideas, both for podcasting and for ideas for programs. There are scads of internet magazines which I don't have to pay anything for. I read Medium. I read Entrepreneur. I read Flip Charts. Today, you can find out just about anything you want by just, you know the deal. That's one of the good things about this modern media. And what is true? That I can always capture it and I can use it. Now, you're going to discover what will surprise you. First of all, you'll be surprised at how interested in other people you become. You'll be surprised at how interesting you will become. And all of a sudden, the problem will not be, can I think of something to talk about? The problem will be, which of all the ideas do I have should I use and what would be the best for my program this week? Never have I had a problem wondering what to talk about. It's always there. It always comes, just in time. It's always there. And by the way, that also means, this is one of the key things I tell people, always be prepared to give a 20-minute talk about something. You go to a meeting, a service club, like a Rotary Club, and the speaker doesn't show up and they don't know what to do. You're always prepared to talk about something interesting. I can do that. If I went to church and the pastor didn't show, I could talk. I don't know if I could preach as good a sermon, but I can certainly do pretty well. Go to a Rotary Club meeting, go to any meeting, and if they need a speaker right now, I can do it. You can be that same kind of person because you're on the radio. And I want you to keep practicing. Do it all the time. There are two stories which I simply want to share with you that give you an idea of what you might become. I think many of you know of the performer called Prince. By the way, I grew up, or not really grew up, I became an adult in Minneapolis, and it was right near where Prince had his place. He was a kid from Minneapolis. Now, we have a tragic story about his death from that drug overdose. But, Prince did a remarkable amount, and they say that still in his studio, the Purple Place, there are still thousands of musical compositions and programs that he never published, but he performed them. It'll take years for people to go through all the things he did, and they're going to still find great music that he did, but he just did it. Didn't publicize it or do it publicly. I oftentimes wonder about that wonderful painter Van Gogh, who sold only one painting in his life, yet I say, did he know how good he was? That's an encouragement to me. I don't know when I do a program whether it's going to have any impact, but who knows? It's going to be around for years and years and years. And maybe somebody will hear it 15 years from now and it'll change their life. You get to become that kind of a person who's continually creating stories and inspiration and insights, and it's being collected by you and by others around the world. It's life-changing. So do it anyhow, even if you decide that you probably won't publish most of them. Just the mere fact that you get good at expressing yourself and talking to others is important. So do it. I oftentimes tell another story about David Bowie, who finally said the reason he got really good at the end of his career is he stopped worrying about what other people wanted him to play, and he just simply wrote and performed songs that he, an audience of one, was all about. And please keep in mind, you always have an audience of one. Oftentimes, when I felt a little low, I would get on the radio and simply say, hey, friends, tonight I need to talk to myself. You're free to listen in. And in talking things through and thinking them out loud, many people were helped. And primarily, I was helped. Just even knowing somebody was listening was good. And here's a final thing. Many of you are young and wondering what to do, and you may not actually get to have a successful podcast performance or production, but you always can do it. The mere fact that you can say on a resume whatever job you are seeking or whatever career you're seeking, if you can put on your resume that you know how to do radio and television broadcasting, that's going to be a real extra on your resume to be able to tell people, hey, I know how to do that stuff. I know how to perform. So when you need someone who can do those kinds of things, do those videos, do those radio programs and promotions, I know how to do that. Make sure that now is on your curriculum vitae or your resume. In effect, you now have one of the greatest skills necessary in the modern world that is media-based. You know how to use the modern media. You are approaching and being a world-class podcaster, broadcaster, communicator, a man or a woman who can stand up, speak up, and tell the world about the program, the products, the proposals, the ideas. You can handle yourself. You can be a top-notch performer in the business and in the calling and in the career you have. All of that can happen for you, with you, and to you as you learn more and more just exactly what I'm hoping you will learn from this presentation and begin to continue and do for a long time to come. No matter what, it can change your life and it'll make a difference in your life. That's right. So let's make a kind of a pledge to ourselves. Hey, Stan, I'm with you. I'm going to seek to be a world-class podcaster. Thank you for your time. I hope this has been helpful and useful. And if you take it seriously, I know it will be. And we'll be in touch. We'll keep in touch. Because the great thing about radio is we make friends who can help us and we can help them from all around the world. And you've started down that wonderful journey of life to do just that. All the best and blessings on you on your journey. Perhaps we'll meet again. And bye for now. Please reach out to me, Stan Houston, at stan@witradio.net, witradio.net is our website, and 520-664-7002 USA.